someone that's listening to this that is currently in a W-2 corporate setting that has a side hustle right now, right? And it's a common thing trying to figure out at what point do I make the side hustle the main hustle,
Yeah.
right? I think it's certainly most people that become entrepreneurs start by doing it on the side, right? It's the side business. So I certainly would like to dive a little deeper in that to kind of figure out, provide more rationale behind at what point, leaving that makes sense. And I think for me, I can give insight on, you mentioned a little bit there, but so like you said, I mean, we started our business in 2019. I left that, I think it was 2022. So I think I'm about 2.5 years in or so. So, having done it for 2.5 years. So I think at that point we did like 6 or 7 deals.
Smaller deals.
Smaller deals. And for me, the rationale was, and one thing to highlight, right, is a big difference is at the peak of when I left, I think I was making like 80K a year or something, 80 or 90K a year. And for me, the decision was we had built the portfolio and kind of we made our own kind of internal agreement, like Geoff said, that the cash flow coming in from the portfolio was about equal to what I was making for my W-2. That being said, it's tough to use that metric because especially in real estate and any business in general, right, is it's not a paycheck's a paycheck, right? You make $3,000 every 2 weeks, comes in like clockwork, right? It's not really going to change. It might go up a little bit year by year, but with real estate investing specifically, it can be a really good quarter and then it could be a down quarter, right? So it can be a roller coaster when it comes to cash flow. And that was, talked about this in other episodes. I mean, the first year was very scary for me and I had a lot of money on a credit card. So that was the rationale I had when I left.
Try to avoid that.
But I think there's always that risk, right? Like, so for you, it was a little bit different, right? I mean, you were making 4 or 5 times as much as I was making in your W-2 role. So, at what point, right? So again, 2022 is kind of when I left. We go on, we do another 6 or so deals over the past 2.5 years to get us to where we are today in mid 2024. Where was that moment where you were like, and I know, you had it in your mind for a while and it was, the year before or whatever, but at what point were you finally like, fuck it, now's the time to do it. This is going on. I'm done. I'm going full time to this. What was that decision process?
Man, it's kind of a gut feel thing where, I took a step back and like I said, everything's multifaceted. I looked at my life personally. I looked at my expenses. I'm living in a condo that I bought for $180,000 in 2017 or something like that. Relatively low cost of living. It's just me and my dog. And, and I've been able to build enough cash and cash flow from this real estate business that you look at all of them, all those things together, and you think, well, if I'm not going to go chase my dream now, I'll probably never end up doing it, right? And then I don't want to regret it when I'm 80 years old, right? So if I can't, it was, and that's why it just felt right. You know what I mean? Like up until that point, there was days that I certainly wanted to do it. I'll tell you that, years before. But, and I think everyone goes through that. But it just really clicked at this moment that, evaluating my financial picture, evaluating where we are in our business, evaluating the real estate market, where we're about to go with a real estate fund that we're working on. And the potential for all that, all those things together basically became, it became a no-brainer in my mind.
So it wasn't necessarily then like, hey, I achieved a certain dollar per month coming in or like a certain milestone from income on the real estate business. It was more so, hey, I see this tsunami of great opportunity coming in our business that I have to go full time to capitalize on this opportunity.
Exactly. It's different for everyone, right? Some people like your goal or your metric was, hey, if I can be making roughly what I'm making in my job, then I'm going to leave. And I think a lot of people do that, and that's a great way to look at it too. It didn't really work out like that for me. And funny thing is, I posted a video on LinkedIn thanking SAP and my colleagues and clients and partners and everything, and I got 300, 400 likes on there. I got almost, I don't know about 10, but 6, 7, 8, 9 different people reached out to me about wanting to set up calls because they want to do something similar. They're working on real estate. Maybe they bought some properties on the side and they want to figure out how to think about it. So it's different for everyone. I just thought I have to make a decision here because I couldn't go where I'd want to go within real estate if I don't have this time freed up for me, right? And that was the main thing. And I looked at it and I thought, well, it kind of feels like now or never, right?
There's a lot of philosophies out there on, when to become when to go full time, right? And I think, the first one would be burn the boats early on, right? And right away you burn all the boats and go all in. And that's worked for many people, right? And there's the other side of the spectrum that says, wait until, be super conservative and wait till it's throwing off a ton of cash and it's a no-brainer to leave, right? For me, it was somewhere in between where it wasn't like I burned the boats right away. I went full time and I didn't wait until it was, I'd say you're kind of on the other end of the spectrum, right? I guess my personal thought on that is it's, burning the boats can work early on, but I think you at least need some sort of business that's generating some sort of revenue, right? To just say, hey, I had this idea for this business I want to start and I'm going to leave and go full time on that. Unless you're in a position where, hey, I got a bunch of money saved or you have this other thing that's already working, it might make sense. But that's kind of how I've approached deciding when to do it. The second thing you said was taking the insights and knowledge you've learned from a corporate career and applying it to your own business. I certainly think that's true.
Uline's a great one too.
I learned a lot too at the company I worked at Uline. I was there for 5 years. Great organization. You just learn a lot about how big companies run.
For sure.
Right. And you kind of just see the different frameworks of processes they follow, right? Kind of the hierarchy of having a manager and the VP and kind of how that all flows and decision making. And so I think it's always good to take knowledge you've learned in your career, right, and apply it to your own business. That being said, what's like one thing you touched on a little bit that now, you're a few weeks into, being full-time into this, what's like the biggest difference you've noticed in your day-to-day life of being, in this role compared to where you were before?